Yeah. Okay. Lots of reading. So I like what Michael said about being in the moment, about like living in that present moment, which is kind of like scary at times, but is maybe where you can find anarchy and freedom the most easily.
Nice.
This is Renaissance by Edna St. Vincent Millay. All I could see from where I stood was 3 long mountains and a wood. I turned and looked the other way and saw 3 islands in a bay. So with my eyes I traced the line of the horizon, thin and fine, straight around till I was come back to where I'd started from, and all I saw from where I stood was 3 long mountains and a wood. Over these things I could not see. These were the things that bounded me, and I could touch them with my hand, almost, I thought, from where I stand. And all at once things seemed so small. My breath came short and scarce at all. But sure, the sky is big, I said, miles and miles above my head. So here, upon my back I'll lie and look my fill into the sky. And so I looked, and after all, the sky was not so very tall. The sky, I said, must stop somewhere, and sure enough I see the top. The sky, I thought, is not so grand. I most could touch it with my hand, and reaching up my hand to try, I screamed to feel it touch the sky. I screamed, and lo, infinity came rushing and settled over me, forced back my scream into my chest, bent back my arm upon my breast, and pressing of the undefined the definition on my mind, held up before my eyes a glass, through which my shrinking sight did pass, until it seemed I must behold immensity made manifold, whispered to me a word whose sound deafened the air for worlds around, and brought unmuffled to my ears the gossiping of friendly spheres, the creaking of the tented sky, and the tickling of eternity. I saw and heard and knew at last the how and why of all things past and present and forevermore. The universe cleft to the core lay open to my probing sense, that sickening I would fain pluck thence, but could not, nay, but need must suck at the great wound, and could not pluck my lips away, till I had drawn all venom out. Ah, fearful pawn, for my omniscience paid I toll in infinite remorse of soul. All sin was of my sinning, all atoning mine, and mine the gall of all regret. Mine was the weight of every brooded wrong, the hate that stood behind each envious thrust, and mine the greed, mine every lust. And all the while for every grief, each suffering, I craved relief with individual desire, craved all in vain, and felt fierce fire about 1,000 people crawl, perished with each, then I mourned for all. A man was starving in Capri. He moved his eyes and looked at me. I felt his gaze, I heard his moan, and knew his hunger as my own. I saw at sea a great fog bank between 2 ships that struck and sank. 1,000 screams the heavens smote, and every scream tore through my throat. No hurt I did not feel, no death that was not mine, mine each last breath, that crying met an answering cry from the compassion that was I. All suffering mine, and mine its rod, mine the pity like the pity of God. Awful weight, infinity, pressed down upon the finite me. My anguished spirit, like a bird, beating against my lips I heard, yet lay the weight so close about, there was no room for it without. And so beneath the weight lay I, and suffered death, but could not die. Long had I lain thus, craving death, when quietly the earth beneath gave way, and inch by inch so great at last had grown the crushing weight. Into the earth I sank till I, full 6 feet under, ground did lie, and sank no more. There is no weight can follow here, however great. From off my breast I felt it roll, and as it went my tortured soul burst forth and fled in such a gust that all about me swirled the dust. Deep in the earth I rested now. Cool is its hand upon the brow, and soft its breast beneath the head of one who is so gladly dead. And all at once and over all, the pitying rain began to fall. I lay and heard each pattering hoof upon my lowly thatched roof, and seemed to love the sound far more than I had ever done before, for rain it hath a friendly sound to one who's 6 feet underground, and scarce the friendly voice or face. A grave is such a quiet place. The rain, I said, is kind to come and speak to me in my new home. I would I were alive again, to kiss the fingers of the rain, to drink into my eyes the shine of every slanting silver line, to catch the fresh and fragrant breeze from drenched and dripping apple trees, for soon the shower will be done, and then the broad face of the sun will laugh above the rain-soaked earth until the world, with answering mirth, shakes joyously, and each round drop rolls twinkling from its grass blade top. How can I bear it buried here, while overhead the sky grows clear and blue again after the storm? O multicolored, multiform, beloved beauty over me, that I shall never, never see again. Spring, silver, autumn, gold, that I shall never more behold. Sleeping your myriad magics through, close, sepultured, away from you. O God, I cried, give me new birth, and put me back upon the earth. Upset each cloud's gigantic gourd, and let the heavy rain downpour. In one big torrent set me free, washing away my grave from me. There's more of that poem, and it's really, really, really good. But it's getting long. Sure, you can clap. So sometimes I get this feeling like all of the people are me, and that like I am all of the people, and it can be really scary because like some of those people are evil, and some of them actually want to hurt me, and you know, there is pain, and there's a lot of it, and it's kind of part of being here. And how did we get here again? Like, you just kind of turned around and all this stuff was already here. So that's kind of how I approach freedom, is that we're all here, and there's all of this this beautiful sensory stuff, and sometimes there's even beautiful ideas of how things could be, or how things feel and could feel. And then there's all this this other stuff, which is the opposite of that, which allows us to define that which is good. So who the hell knows actually what's going on? Certainly, no one can tell me what to do with myself from any more vantage point than perhaps is available to me. It doesn't mean I don't like taking other people's advice, but it means they certainly should not be tasked with spending my money or telling me what I should and should not do. So it's as simple as that. And I thank you all for coming out here. That poem, the author prays for life after experiencing mortal death, and has been given life and is very grateful. And I feel similarly about this bookstore, because I believed there was no hope for these ideas. And once I discovered them and was full of passion and tried to communicate it to no response but anger and rejection. So I realized I just was not in the right place at the right time. And then I found the right place at the right time, and geez, it's here. And it's right now too. And it was here about a year and a half ago when I discovered this place. And I have been so reawakened. I have felt the rain and seen it as beautiful and seen it as more than just a violent storm, and I have awakened in the morning and seen the flowers of the forest and the birds chirping and realized that the true freedom to be had is in that moment. And it's nice to gather and talk about these things, intentionally, but they are already happening unintentionally. And the more that we train our minds to recognizing those moments, the more that we can recursively reinforce those moments in ourselves and our perception of the reality. And so there is duality, but the playing field isn't fixed, and it's malleable every single second. So thank you for embracing this moment of ordered anarchy, and forward we go into the next, and into the next, and into the next. So I hope to see you all again here soon at my personal place of salvation and love. So thank you very much, and take care. Is there mandatory